This November, no matter the outcome, we will elect our 47th chief executive. But first, we're going to take a look back at how the presidents became president. This is your countdown to 47. We turn now to Unconditional Surrender Grant. Before Ulysses S. Grant became the 18th president, he was named Hiram Ulysses Grant. But when he entered the United States Military Academy at West Point, his name was incorrectly written as Ulysses Simpson Grant, which he chose to adopt as his name going forward. After graduating from West Point, Grant served in the Mexican-American War under Generals Zachary Taylor and Winfield Scott, where he participated in nearly every major battle of the war. Years later, at the onset of the Civil War, Grant took up arms to serve his country once again. He would distinguish himself in 1862 at the Battle of Fort Donelson, where he led his troops to victory. When a Confederate commander attempted negotiations, Grant stipulated that, quote, "No terms except an unconditional and immediate surrender can be accepted." Upon Confederate agreement, he earned the nickname Unconditional Surrender Grant. Grant went on to win crucial victories at Vicksburg and Chattanooga in 1863. In response to his repeated victories, President Lincoln appointed him General-in-Chief of the Union Army. For the remainder of the war, Grant continued to press the Union advance. After continued Confederate defeats, including the fall of Richmond in April of 1865, General Robert E. Lee surrendered to General Grant at Appomattox Courthouse, officially ending the Civil War. Grant, now a national war hero, had made his mark on history. In 1868, Grant was the obvious choice for the Republican nomination, and he handily won the election that November. Ulysses S. Grant was set to become the 18th President of the United States. President Grant would sign into law 3 enforcement acts aimed to empower the President to use military force to protect the rights of African Americans. These laws specifically targeted the rising Ku Klux Klan, who were terrorizing black citizens. During Reconstruction, these acts helped to stave off violence against African Americans. The Grant presidency is also remembered for claims of corruption. While President Grant maintained that he was an honest man, those within his administration fell suspect, accused of accepting bribes. Notable scandals include the whiskey ring and the impeachment trial of Secretary of War William Belknap. However, Grant himself nor any in his administration were ever found guilty of corruption, and these claims would fail to deprive incumbent President Grant re-election in 1872. After winning re-election, President Grant also signed the Civil Rights Act of 1875, which ensured that all citizens, regardless of race, have access to public accommodations. This was meant to be the legacy of President Ulysses S. Grant, but as his time in office came to a close, the controversial election of 1876 occurred, leading to the subsequent end to Reconstruction. And with its end, Grant's efforts towards civil liberties would not last. This would eventually lead to the rise of its antithesis, the Jim Crow era, which cast its long shadow over the American South for nearly a century. Ulysses S. Grant served as President of the United States from 1869 to 1877. I'm Eric George for Valley News Live, and this has been your countdown to 47.